Welcome to my channel Official History of Coins, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting with one special coin, the 1972 $quarter for the United States Mint. Get ready to uncover its history, what makes it so valuable, and exactly how much someone has been willing to pay for it. First up, the coin in question is a single coin, the 1972 WashingtonQuarte, Mint Mark D for the Denver Mint. Its story begins in the early 1970s, a time when the U.S. Mint was producing the familiar Washington Quarter. This coin depicts President Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. The design dates back to 1932, created to commemorate Washington's bicentennial year, and the design team led by John Flanagan. Now, when and why was the 1972 WashingtonQuarte made? In 1972, the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins for general circulation. In fact, for the Denver Mint Mark D version, over 300 million were struck. The reason? It was simply routine coinage, part of the continuing Washington Quarter series, used for everyday transactions. Because the silver composition had been retired in 1965, the 1972 quarter is clad copper-nickel rather than silver. So far, that might sound like just another coin, but here's where things get interesting. Although the 1972 WashingtonQuarte is common in standard circulated condition, it becomes valuable when found in exceptional condition or with rare minting errors. According to a CoinFacts resource, anything grading higher than MS67 is very difficult to find for this coin because of the large mintage but fewer high-grade survivors. Why is it so valuable? The value comes from a few factors. 1. The sheer large mintage means most coins are common and thus of low value in average condition. But that also means high-grade specimens become rarer and more sought after. 2. Condition, i.e. grade, matters a lot. Coins with mint state grades, MS, in the 65 to 68 range are far more valuable than circulated ones. 3. Minting errors and unusual features can add tremendous value, e.g., filled-in mint mark errors, double dies, or weak strikes are known to turn otherwise ordinary coin into a trophy piece. Let's talk numbers. What is the maximum value this coin could fetch? Resources show that in typical uncirculated grades, the 1972 quarter is modestly priced. For example, in MS65 it might sell for around $14 to $15. In MS66, maybe $20 to $30. For MS67 and MS68, values jump significantly. In one source, up to $1,350 plus is given as possible for MS67-68 condition. Auction records show coins in grades 1 to 68 sold in past years between about $6 and roughly $1,800. So yes, the coin is valuable if you find it in top grade or with an error. But let's emphasize, the highest value tends to be tied to exceptional condition or error coins. A typical circulated 1972 quarter with no special error will still trade for near face value or just a few dollars above. The big payoff only comes in rare cases. For example, coins with filled-in mint mark errors or significant doubling have been listed in error coin auctions at much higher amounts. To motivate you, if you happen to be holding a 1972 quarter, don't dismiss it. Check the coin's condition carefully. Look for full luster, no wear, sharp details on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, crisp mint mark D, and no major marks or toning. And if you see something odd, like a filled-in D, mint mark, or doubling of letters, this could jump you into the premium league. Getting the coin professionally graded by a service like PCGS NGC will help realize its full potential. In terms of maximum prize, realistically, if you find a truly top-grade MS68 example from a 1972 or a rarer error variant in mint state, you could be looking at a selling price in the low thousands of dollars, perhaps approaching the $1,000 to $2,000 range or more, depending on market demand. Some sources suggest $70 to $1,350 plus range for MS67 and MS68. Keep in mind that the extremely best specimens with rare error features could go higher still. History recap. The 1972 Washington Quarter is part of the series initiated to honor Washington's bicentennial in 1932. But by 1972, the Washington Quarter was simply part of regular coinage. Because it's clad, not silver, and millions were produced, it wasn't initially considered a rare issue. However, numismatists, coin collectors, have elevated its status because of the survival rates of high-grade specimens and special error examples. Why you should care. First, coins like this show how even everyday circulation coins can hide potential value. If you've inherited old coin collections, or if you sort through change, you might stumble upon one of these. Second, they're tangible pieces of U.S. history. Every coin passed hands, changed pockets, and is a small object of design, economics, and minting technology. Third, they make great stories. Finding a high-grade or error coin from 1972. D gives you bragging rights and a potential return on investment. Let's talk about the condition tiers a bit more. Is circulated 1972, D Quarter has wear from pocket rubbing. Its value is near face value. Once the coin is uncirculated MS60+, it starts being collectible. A coin graded MS65 will already pull above typical circulated value. Then MS66 up, MS67, MS68 become progressively rarer for that issue. According to PCGS, anything higher than MS67 is very difficult to find for this issue. Error coins add a further premium, such as double die, filled-in mint mark, misstrikes, etc. So, in summary, yes, this coin is valuable, but the key is finding the right specimen, high grade, good eye appeal, and ideally a rare mint error. If you have one in your collection, or find one in change, and it shows exceptional quality, it could be worth significantly more than you might expect. It's a coin worth checking, inspecting, and possibly having graded. Before we wrap up, a few quick motivational tips. Keep your eyes open when you handle old coins. Use a magnifier to inspect mint mark, doubling, and sharpness. Don't automatically discard coins just because they're common date. Some hold hidden gems. If you find a 1972 D Quarter that looks too good for circulation, get it authenticated and graded. The premium for top condition is real. And lastly, collecting can be fun, educational, and potentially rewarding financially. So embrace the hunt. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1972 D Quarter, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more coin collecting finds. Keep hunting, stay curious, and maybe you'll discover the next great collectible piece right in your pocket. Next coin, the 1977 Washington Quarter, was struck in an era when the U.S. Mint had long moved away from silver coinage, which ended for quarters in 1964, and now was producing large numbers of clad copper-nickel quarters for everyday circulation. In 1977 alone, the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, struck approximately 468,556,000 pieces, while the Denver Mint, mint marked, struck about 256,524,978 pieces. With such large mintage, most of these coins were intended simply as everyday change, but that very fact means that the handful of exceptional or error specimens stand out and can carry significant value. Delving into the history, the Washington Quarter design dates back to 1932, featuring the profile of President George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse for the standard issues through 1998, and this design continued into 1977. The composition in 1977 was copper-nickel clad over a copper core, as opposed to earlier 90% silver, because the switch to clad coinage occurred in 1965. So the 1977 coin is part of the modern clad era of Washington Quarters. Why can a 1977 quarter be valuable? There are a few reasons. First, while the date is common, condition matters enormously. Coins that remain in mint state, uncirculated with full luster and minimal marks, are far rarer than those worn through circulation. For the 1977 date, coins graded at MS67 or higher are noted as very difficult to obtain. Second, variation and error coins intervene. If the quarter has a minting error, off-center strike, wrong planchet, filled mint mark, etc., that elevates value significantly. For example, some sources show that a 1977 quarter struck on a 40% silver planchet, a transitional error, has fetched multiple thousands. Third, because collectors seek high-grade and error specimens, the standard coins end up being overshadowed by the few that become the trophy pieces. As of today, the typical value of a standard 1977 Washington quarter in circulated condition is modest. Many are worth only their face value or slightly above that. The USA Coin Book suggests that a 1977 P Business Strike, Philadelphia, in uncirculated mint condition begins at around $7.21 or more. Meanwhile, CoinValue Checker reports that coins graded MS60 may only bring a few dollars, while coins graded MS65 might bring around $18. That gives you the baseline. The everyday coin is not rare, so value starts low. But what about the maximum value? Here is where the excitement comes in. For 1977 quarter, some error coins have crossed into hundreds or thousands of dollars. For example, a trim planchet or a quarter struck on a wrong metal or a major error has been reported with values in the thousands. One source states that the 1977 quarter can fetch a value from $10 to $10,000 depending on the coin's condition, grade, mint mark, and error. Another says for MS67, type condition or rare error coins, values breach into 3 figures or more. So while the everyday coin may not be remarkable, the very top-end specimens certainly are. Considering the future, yes, the 1977 quarter could be very valuable, and there is good reason for hopeful optimism if you hold a high grade or error version. The large overall mintage means that most coins will remain common, but that also means that genuinely rare versions, high grade, unusual errors, will stand out even more over time as collectors continue to seek them. As such, the ceiling on value is appealing. In the best scenario, exceptional grade plus major error, a coin could sell in the thousands. Some auction records show coins crossing $1,000 and potentially beyond, depending on condition and provenance. Therefore, if you find one of these coins in superb condition or with a strong error, you're in a position where future value could climb still further, especially if coin collecting interest remains strong. Let's recap the maximum price scenario. If you found a 1977 quarter that is uncirculated with very high grade, say MS67 or above, sharp details, perfect luster, minimal blemishes, perhaps even a mint error, wrong planchet, off-center strike, filled mint mark, etc., you could reasonably aim for a sale in the low thousands of dollars, perhaps approaching or exceeding $1,000 to $5,000, depending on the market, rarity of the specific error, grade, and demand. With the right combination, the value could stretch toward $10,000 or more, though such cases are extremely rare. On the flip side, the vast majority of these coins will sell for modest amounts today. What motivates a collector or holder of the coin is the possibility of having one of those rare gems rather than a standard coin. So if you have a 1977 quarter, examine it carefully. Look for full strike, minimal wear, strong luster, any unusual characteristics like mint mark oddities, planchet abnormalities, or other errors. If it looks nearly perfect, consider having it professionally graded by a reputable grading service. A coin certified to be high grade or error variety will command significantly higher value. In summary, the 1977 Washington quarter has every potential to be a valuable collectible. Not because every one of them is rare, but because among the millions struck there exist a handful of standout coins that collectors covet. The current market shows standard specimens in single dollar to tens of dollars range, while rare error or high-grade versions are selling for hundreds or thousands of dollars. Looking ahead, if you have one of those standout coins, the future upside is very real. So whether you found one in a jar of old coins, inherited it, or bought it years ago and forgot about it, don't dismiss the 1977 quarter. It could be the sleeper in your collection. Inspect it, clean, or rather don't clean it properly, protect it, and if it shows promise, get it authenticated and graded. that may unlock its maximum potential. Next coin, in 1979, the U.S. Mint struck vast numbers of the 1979 Washington Quarter, issued in the standard Washington Quarter design, obverse facing President Washington, reverse with eagle. According to mintage records, the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, produced about 518,708,000 coins in 1979, and the Denver Mint, mint mark, struck approximately 489,789,780 coins. The coin was clad in copper nickel over a copper core, as the silver era of quarters ended in 1964. So why was it made? It was part of the regular coinage of the era, the everyday quarter for commerce, payments, and circulation. The design dates back to the 1930s by John Flanagan and remained in the basic form through 1998. But that doesn't mean the 1979 quarter is uninteresting. On the contrary, for collectors it holds hidden potential. How many people want to buy it? The collecting market for the 1979 quarter is active. Many coin collectors and hobbyists look for high-grade examples, error variants, proof types, and other special versions. While the general coin, in typical circulated condition, is common, there is demand for the exceptional specimens, which drives value upward. It's not that every 1979 quarter is rare, but those that stand out are indeed sought after. In the current market, a typical circulated 1979 quarter is worth only slightly above its face value or very modestly more. For example, grading guides show putative values for circulated coins in the range of 25 cents to under $1 in many cases. For uncirculated mint state coins, values climb. One source indicates that for MS64 to MS66, a standard 1979 quarter might be in the $2 to $10 range. For higher grades, MS67 plus, especially mint mark D or rare error or proof varieties, the values jump significantly, perhaps into the hundreds or even low thousands. Is its value really high? Yes, in the right case. Again, most coins are not high value. But if you have one in exceptional condition or with a recognized error/variety, then the value is indeed high. Many collectors focus on coins graded MS67 or higher, or proof coins from San Francisco mint marks, with Type 1 or Type 2 mint mark varieties. The existence of these rarer variants makes the 1979 quarter valuable in those circumstances. What is the maximum value it could reach? Some published guides suggest that an MS67 plus example from 1979, D could be valued in the thousands of dollars. One table puts a number as high as about $2,250 for an MS67 plus 1979 D. Another source indicates auction records for rare varieties fetch even more. While there is no hard fixed ceiling, the implication is that for an extraordinary specimen with high grade, perfect eye appeal, minimal marks, or an error variant, selling prices could approach several $1,000s. What about the future potential? The trajectory is encouraging. As time goes on, the survival population of high-grade, mint state 1979 quarters, especially with minimal wear, becomes smaller because many circulated. The rarer the specimen, the more attention from collectors. This means that if you hold a 1979 quarter that appears to be in pristine condition, or has a recognized error or proof/variety designation, you may be sitting on a piece whose value could increase further with interest in numismatics. Let's go deeper into the history and context. The 1979 coin, as noted, belongs to the long-running Washington Quarter series, 1932 to 1998 for the original design. The clad composition, copper-nickel, was adopted following the removal of silver from quarters in 1965. In 1979, the U.S. economy was experiencing inflationary pressures, and coinage was heavily used. That means many coins entered circulation and saw wear. That reality reduces the number of unused, pristine coins, which helps raise value for the few that remained uncirculated. The mintage numbers help explain why the standard coin is common. Over 500 million from Philadelphia and nearly 500 million from Denver. That large supply means that for typical conditions the coin will not bring big premiums. But conversely, from that large production pool emerge the few examples that are exceptional. That is where value lies. Collectors often look for special characteristics. The mint mark D for Denver, S for San Francisco proofs, or none for Philadelphia matters, as does the grade, how well preserved the coin is, and whether the coin has any recognized mint error or unusual variety. For example, a filled-in mint mark, off-center strike, planchet error, etc. The proof coins from San Francisco in 1979 include two types. Type 1 with filled S, mint mark, and Type 2 with clear S, mint mark. These proof varieties add an extra layer of collectability. Turning to current value for major varieties. For the 1979 P. Philadelphia business strike, one reference suggests an uncirculated MS plus condition. The value begins around $7.21 or more. For the 1979 D business strike, the guide shows for MS 67 plus perhaps up to around $2,250. For typical circulated coins, a table shows MS 60-63 at $0.50 to $1 for many issues. The Graysheet Guide lists the 1979-25 CMS value range at about 40 cents to $170 for many coins, with higher for Denver Mint Mark coins. So what's the motivation here? If you hold a 1979 Washington quarter that looks exceptionally sharp, with strong luster and no or minimal wear, minimal marks, or damage, check for mint mark and consider having it graded. If it also happens to have a known error or variety, for example proof type 1/type 2, filled mint mark, off-center, etc., you might hold something far more valuable than its face value. Because supply of top-grade specimens is limited, those coins can command premium prices in the collector marketplace. The fact that many 1979 quarters entered circulation means fewer were saved in pristine condition, which enhances the value of the best ones. In conclusion, the 1979 Washington quarter is valuable, especially under the right conditions. It has current value well above its face value in uncirculated or error/variety forms. It holds solid future potential, and the demand among collectors for the high-quality or rare variants means you should take a careful look if you own one. If you imagine selling, the ceiling could run into the thousands of dollars for the standout examples. So yes, it is worth your attention. If you like, I can check recent auction sales specific to 1979 DMS 67 Plus or ErrorCoin examples and show you real sale prices so you can see what people are paying right now. Next coin, the coin in question is the 1986 P. Washington quarter. In that year, the U.S. Mint produced this coin at the United States Mint in Philadelphia, bearing the P. Mint mark to indicate its origin. According to records, the 1986 P. Washington quarter had a mintage of 551,199,333 coins. That means over 500 million were struck. So it was a common piece in circulation at the time. But having been common in production doesn't render it worthless. Far from it. The coin carries significance purely by virtue of being part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932, and by being clad copper-nickel over a copper core, after the silver era of quarters ended in 1964. It's part of American coinage history, the everyday quarter for commerce, yet also a collectible base for numismatists. So what makes the 1986 P. Washington quarter valuable? Several factors converge. First, condition matters tremendously. While most of the 500 million coins saw circulation and wear, the specimens that remained uncirculated, mint state, with full luster and minimal marks are far rarer. Secondly, errors or unusual varieties make a big difference. Thirdly, collectors' demand for high-grade modern coins means that even clad quarters can command significant premiums when they are superb. For the 1986 P, the auction record is around $2,880 for an MS67 grade coin. That shows the ceiling of what's possible. Where can you buy such a coin? You can look at reputable coin dealers, numismatic online marketplaces, or auction houses specializing in certified coins. Coins that are graded by major grading services, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, will often appear on platforms like eBay, Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or through dealer websites. For example, listings show high-grade 1986 P Washington quarters being offered. When you buy, ensure you're dealing with graded coins or with trusted sellers to ensure authenticity and value. And where can you sell one? The same venues that you might buy from offer liquidation opportunities. Online auction houses, coin dealers, coin shows, or local numismatic groups. If you have a high grade or a variety coin, error coin, the best route may be through an auction house specializing in rare coins, as you might get top dollar. If it's a more ordinary specimen, you might sell through a local coin shop or online marketplace and still profit above face value. What is the current value for the 1986 P Washington quarter? On average, for circulated condition coins, which show where the value is only slightly above face value, around 25 cents or so, for the typical example. For uncirculated mint state coins, values rise. Typical MS-64, MS-65 coins might sell for a few dollars to tens of dollars. For example, listings show MS-65 at around $17 and up. But if you have a specimen graded MS-67, the record is nearly $2,880. So yes, the coin could be worth a lot if it's in exceptional condition. So what is the maximum value it could command? While $2,880 is a documented auction record for MS-67, the theoretical ceiling may be somewhat higher for an exceptional example or major variety error. Some sources claim the range for 1986 P can go up to $100,000 depending on quality and type. That figure is more speculative and applies if you find a truly dramatic error or one-of-a-kind variety. In practice, coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 in top condition could approach several $1,000s. So if you believe you have such a coin, you're potentially sitting on something of great value. Should you keep the coin? Absolutely yes, especially if it appears in top condition and especially if uncirculated and maybe graded. Treat it as a collectible asset, not just change. Get it examined, maybe have it graded, because the difference between just another coin and rare gem may hinge on condition and certification. If you believe yours qualifies, you might hold it, have it graded, and wait, as market demand may increase over time for high-grade modern coins. Should it be sealed, i.e., graded in a protective holder? Yes. Certification and encapsulation by a reputable grading service helps maximize value. A raw coin, ungraded, may fetch some dollars, but once graded, especially if the grade is high and the coin has good eye appeal, you open access to serious buyers who are willing to pay premiums. The sealed holder ensures authenticity, grade, and protects the coin, making it more marketable. Without sealing, you may lose value in terms of what serious collectors are willing to pay. And what about long-term potential? The fact that the 1986 P had a huge mintage doesn't mean it won't appreciate. It means the baseline is common, but the high-grade survivors are rare. As time goes on, circulation takes its toll, and fewer truly pristine examples remain. The premium for top grade can increase as availability shrinks and demand possibly rises. Thus, a well-preserved 1986 P could see its value rise in future. Also consider, if you spot an error coin, for example a misstrike, double die, off-center, filled mint mark, etc., the value can jump even more. There have been listings of error variants of the 1986 P Washington quarter fetching hundreds or thousands depending on how rare and desirable the error is. So part of the motivation, if you own one, inspect it under magnification, compare to reference resources, consider getting it graded if you believe it is special. As for the everyday coin with no error and in circulated condition, yes, it has value above a mere 25 cents in some cases, but the real upside lies in those which are mint state, graded, and perhaps error variety. Your goal is to identify whether you hold one of the standouts. If you do, then you've got something exciting. In summary, the 1986 P Washington quarter is more than just pocket change. It has a story, a collector base, and a ceiling on value that can surprise you. If you hold one that appears uncirculated and has strong eye appeal, you should think of it as a collectible asset. Get it graded, store it securely, and you could, one day, sell it for significantly more than what most people think. So if you have 1986 WashingtonQuarter, take it out, look at it under good light, evaluate condition, consider grading, and aim high. You may be holding a little treasure in your hands. Next coin, 1989, WashingtonQuarter, United States 25-cent piece, Denver mint mark. Let's explore this coin's story, its creation, why it can be valuable, how much it is worth today, and what its maximum potential could be, all delivered in a way to motivate you to check your coins and hold on to the possibility of having something special. In 1989, the 1989 WashingtonQuarter was struck at the United States Mint's Denver facility, bearing the D mint mark. According to Mint mintage records, the Denver output for 1989 WashingtonQuarters was 896,535,597 pieces. This large production means the coin entered everyday circulation in large numbers. But as you'll see, the size of mintage doesn't reduce its potential for value when certain other factors align. Historically, the WashingtonQuarter design dates back to 1932 and was created to memorialize George Washington's bicentennial of his birth. Over the decades, the coin evolved in composition, from 90% silver into the copper-nickel-clad version after 1964, and by 1989 the coin was part of the standard circulation series. The 1989 D piece is copper-nickel-clad, 75% copper, 25% nickel, over a pure copper core. It was minted simply for everyday commerce, to pay for goods, to drop in change, to serve in the economy. And yet that very role gives it a story. Millions of hands touched it, it circulated, it represents a moment in America's coinage history. Why is the 1989 D quarter valuable? The value doesn't come from rarity of the date alone, because as we noted, the mintage was very high. Instead, the value comes from condition. I appeal, survival of uncirculated examples, and especially for error or variety coins. The grading service Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, notes that the 1989 D is one of the tougher dates in the modern-clad WashingtonQuarters to find in high grade. That means that while many exist, very few remain in flawless, mint state condition. And for collectors, that scarcity of pristine specimens is what drives the value. What is the current value? Let's look at the market. For circulated specimens of 1989, WashingtonQuarters, the value is often near face or slightly above. Many sources list values in the range of about 25 cents, the face, up to small dollars for typical RareCoins. For better condition, uncirculated, mint state, graded pieces, the value rises. One guide shows MS 65 examples in the $10 to $16 range, MS 66 in the $40 to $65 range, MS $67 $120 plus range. Looking at actual auction records, a piece GS MS 67 example of the 1989 D sold for $763.75 in 2017. So yes, it is genuinely collectible and non-common in high grade. Is the value really high or just modest? The truth is, for most coins of this date, the value remains modest because they circulated and many will show wear or flaws. However, high value becomes real when you find the coin in exceptional mint state, with full original luster, minimal to no marks, and excellent eye appeal, or especially if it has a recognized mint error or variety. For those cases, the value is indeed significantly higher than average, and the ceiling is open toward several hundreds of dollars or more. What is the maximum value one could realistically expect? Based on grading and auction evidence, for a 1989 WashingtonQuarter in top certified grade, say MS 67 or better, one could aim toward the $700 to $800 range or possibly higher, depending on eye appeal and rarity of that exact coin. As we saw, one reached $763.75. If you stumbled on an error variant, for example off-center, double die, filled in mint mark, etc., the maximum could go higher still, although each step up becomes progressively rarer and more speculative. The guide for errors indicates values from $10 up to over $100 depending on the error magnitude. So yes, the maximum is significant, especially compared to its face value. Let's revisit why the coin was made. In 1989, the U.S. Mint produced the WashingtonQuarter in large supply to meet demand for everyday coinage. The Denver Mint fulfilled a large portion of the requirement, with nearly 900 million pieces struck. The coin filled the everyday role of commerce, making change, supporting the economy. Over time, many of these coins entered circulation. Many wore down, some were lost, melted, or discarded, creating a situation where pristine survivors are relatively scarce. Why is it so valuable beyond condition? Because the survivors in top form are limited. The layering of clad metal, varying strikes, circulation wear, handling marks, toning. All these reduce the number of coins that will ever qualify for top grade. When collectors seek completion of date and mint mark sets, or when they seek high-grade versions of modern coins, the 1989 D becomes a target. The effort required to locate, grade, and acquire one adds to its allure and price. So if you have a 1989 D WashingtonQuarter, what should you think about? First, inspect its condition. Is it brilliant uncirculated? Does it retain original luster? Are there minimal marks, strong strike, good eye appeal? If it looks outstanding, consider sending it to a grading service to certify its condition. Grading often unlocks value because buyers trust certified coins more. Second, don't dismiss it just because it's common date. The common nature means the bar for exceptional is higher, and if yours rises to that bar, you may hold a surprisingly valuable coin. Should you keep it? Yes, especially if you believe your coin is in outstanding condition or maybe an error/variety. Holding on to it while the collector market continues to evolve may be wise. Try to keep it in safe storage, coin holder, capsule, away from handling, stable environment, so that it retains its grade and condition. Protecting eye appeal matters. A coin that loses luster, gets scratches, or is cleaned loses value rapidly. Should be sealed or graded. Absolutely. Many serious buyers focus on coins certified and slabbed by major grading services like PCGS or Numismatics Company, NGC. A sealed holder provides assurance of authenticity, grade, and protection. While raw coins can trade for value, graded, encapsulated coins command higher price and easier access to the high-end market. So if yours qualifies as high grade, getting it certified is a strong move. Where can you buy or sell this coin? You can purchase from reputable coin dealers, online coin marketplaces, auctions, coin shows, or direct from sellers. Selling can follow similar channels. If graded and high grade, you might list it at auction or a major dealer. If raw, you might sell locally or online with good photos and description. Make sure you research recent sale prices, for example, the $763.75 auction result, so you set realistic expectations. In conclusion, the 1989 D WashingtonQuarter is more than just a piece of change. It holds historical value as part of U.S. coinage, collector value because of its grade potential, and investment potential if you hold the right specimen. The everyday version may only fetch small amounts, but the standout examples, especially in mint state and certified, can fetch hundreds of dollars. If you believe your coin is one of those, treat it like a collectible, protect it, consider grading, and you may unlock its maximum prize. Your coin could be the one that surprises you. Don't let it languish unnoticed. Inspect it, consider grading, and hold on to the possibility that you may have something valuable. Next coin, ladies and gentlemen, the 1992 D WashingtonQuarter is a coin that commands attention among collectors and may very well hide significant value in plain sight. Struck by the United States Mint at its Denver facility in 1992, the D Mint mark identifies this piece as part of the massive production run of that year, where 389,777,107 specimens were minted. The history of this coin is firmly rooted in the long-running series of Washington quarters, first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. By 1992, the coin was clad in a copper-nickel sandwich, copper core with 75% copper, 25% nickel outer layers, which had been the standard since 1965. So why was this coin made? Simply put, The US Mint struck millions of these coins to meet everyday circulation needs, to serve as 25-cent pieces, to make change, and to keep commerce flowing. Being part of the mainstream coinage rather than a commemorative special issue means it was meant to be used, spent, and passed from pocket to pocket. But ironically, that very fact makes the pristine survivors all the more special. What makes the 1992 WashingtonQuarte valuable is not the date alone, but the combination of condition, preservation, and the rare instances of high grade or error. Because the mintage was so large, most pieces ended up showing wear, marks, toning, or other imperfections. As a result, coins in exceptional mint state condition, uncirculated, full luster, sharp strike, become much rarer than you might assume from the mintage alone. As one guide puts it, for the 1992 WashingtonQuarte, the value ranges from $1 to $100,000 depending on quality of the coin and its mint strike type. Is it really that valuable? Yes, for the right specimen. For most circulated examples, the value remains modest, but for those in MS67 or better condition, especially certified by a grading service, such as Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, the value jumps substantially. One PCGS auction record shows an MS67 example sold for $1,763. Another guide lists typical uncirculated mint state coins at values of around $19 or more. What about current value? For the everyday collector who find the 1992 quarter and change, the value for a circulated coin might be just slightly above face. Many sources show values in the range of 30 cents to $2 for circulated condition. When the coin is uncirculated and graded MS65, values might rise to around $9 to $25 according to one guide. As grade increases, MS66, MS67, MS68, the value continues upward. For example, MS67 is listed at a range from $129 up to $1,763 depending on IAPL. What is the maximum value this coin might obtain? For the finest known specimens, the ceiling is impressive. The auction record for 1992 in MS67 grade is $1,763. However, guides suggest the theoretical maximum, particularly for rare varieties or error coins, could reach even into the tens of thousands of dollars in extraordinary cases. For example, one broad range guide lists up to $100,000 depending on quality and strike type. While such top-end scenarios are extremely rare, they provide motivation for any holder to inspect their coin carefully. Why does the market care about this coin so much? Several reasons. First, the large mintage means that while many were produced, relatively few survived in pristine state, uncirculated, untouched, and with perfect strike. That scarcity of top-grade survivors gives those specimens value beyond their face. Second, collector interest in modern coins, 1965 and later, has grown significantly, and the top-end modern WashingtonQuarters are now part of serious collections. Third, any error or variety, misstrike, off-center, filled-in mint mark, double die, adds enormous premium potential. For 1992, quarters, errors have been noted and valued. Let's talk about motivation. If you hold a 1992 WashingtonQuarte today, you're holding more than just a 25-cent piece. You are holding a slice of numismatic history, and possibly a collectible with significant upside. You owe it to yourself to examine it under magnification. Look for full mirror-like surfaces in uncirculated condition, minimal marks, strong luster, no signs of cleaning or damage, deep strike detail on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. If it checks many of these boxes, consider submitting it for professional grading. A top grade could unlock serious buyer demand. So should you take action? Absolutely. If your coin appears exceptional or you suspect a variety or error, send it to a reputable grading service. Once graded and encapsulated, you will have a certified collectible that serious collectors trust. At that point, you can explore selling through major coin auction houses, specialist dealers, or high-end online platforms where certified top-grade coins attract premium buyers. Just one proper buyer could pay in the hundreds or possibly more for the right coin. In summary, the 1992 WashingtonQuarter is not just pocket change. It can become a valuable asset, provided it meets the condition, strike quality, and certification criteria. The everyday coin may hold modest value now, but the best specimens are commanding real money in the marketplace. That potential should excite you, motivate you to inspect your coin, protect it, grade it, and possibly sell it for a rewarding price. If you take the step to preserve your coin properly, store it in a holder, avoid handling with bare fingers, keep it in a stable environment away from extreme temperature/humidity changes, you increase your chances that the coin will maintain or increase its value over time. And if you act intelligently, you might realize the maximum prize that this coin is capable of in today's collector market. So go ahead, examine your 1992 WashingtonQuarter. You may be surprised at what you hold. Next coin, ladies and gentlemen, the 1997 WashingtonQuarter is a coin that deserves your attention and careful inspection under a loupe, for it carries within it the potential to be not just pocket change, but a meaningful collectible. In the year 1997, the United States Mint produced the Denver minted version of the WashingtonQuarter, bearing the D Mint mark and a mintage of 599,680,000 pieces. This coin comes from the long-running WashingtonQuarter series, introduced in 1932 to honor our first president, George Washington. The design by sculptor John Flanagan shows Washington on the obverse and a heraldic eagle on the reverse. And in 1997, the coin was struck in its copper, nickel-clad composition, which has been standard since 1965. The reason the 1997 WashingtonQuarter exists is purely functional. It was minted to supply the vast needs of everyday commerce, to serve as 25-cent pieces in pockets, wallets, cash registers across America. But what turns it into a collectible is that, out of those nearly 600 million pieces, only a small fraction remain in pristine mint state, untouched by wear, hand marks, or circulation. That survival becomes the key to value. Now, you might ask, why is this coin valuable? The answer hinges on the fact that while so many were minted, the number of survivors in flawless condition is comparatively tiny. According to one CoinValue guide, the 1997 WashingtonQuarter value ranges from $1 to $100,000 depending on the quality of the coin and its mint strike type. That's a huge range, and it means that if you hold one that is exceptional, you could hold something truly special. Is it really that valuable right now? Yes, in the right case. The typical circulated 1997 shows wear and is worth only modestly above face value in most cases. One guide explains that in low mint state, MS 60-62, the coin might sell for only a few dollars, and thus such coins may not merit grading. But for uncirculated coins in high grade, the story changes entirely. Coins graded MS 65 or better begin rising in value, and those in MS 67 or MS 68 grade fetch meaningful premiums. For example, one auction result for a comparable 1997 P, not the Denver version, shows MS 67 fetching $3,525. When you translate that to the 1997 D version and error/variety possibilities, the ceiling begins to climb. What is the current market value for the 1997 D? For many raw, ungraded coins in typical or lightly circulated condition, the value might fall into the range of a few dollars to maybe $10 or $20 depending on condition. One popular guide lists the 1997 D in circulated condition as being around 25 cents in good grade and up to $14.86 in mint state. Meanwhile, the USA Coin Book lists the 1997 D in uncirculated MS Plus condition at $15 or more. These figures underscore that yes, the coin is collectible, but you must hold one in strong condition for that to translate into real value. What about the maximum value this coin could sell for under ideal circumstances? For truly outstanding specimens, think MS 67, MS 68 or better, possibly with superior eye appeal, minimal marks, strong strike. prices could reach into the hundreds or even more. For example, the PCGS coin data shows that for MS68 grade the 1997, D had an auction record of $978. Another guide sets the range up to $100,000 for the right strike/quality/variety. While $100,000 may represent the extreme upper bound, very rare, very special, it illustrates the potential ceiling if you have an outstanding coin. So what does this mean for your coin? If you have a 1997 D WashingtonQuarter in your collection or in your pocket change, you should not dismiss it. You should examine it under magnification. Look for sharp details, full mint luster, in uncirculated condition, minimal to no contact marks, no signs of wear or handling, and strong strike detail. If it passes that inspection, consider professional grading and certification. That step often unlocks the higher value tiers by giving collectors confidence in the coin's grade and authenticity. The future potential for the 1997 D WashingtonQuarter is strong. Although so many were minted, the high-grade survivors become rarer year by year as wear, handling, cleaning, or damage remove coins from the premium pool. Demand for modern condition rarities is growing, and coins from the late 20th century in flawless condition are increasingly appreciated. That dynamic suggests your coin could rise in value over time, especially if you hold one in excellent condition. In summary, the 1997 D WashingtonQuarter is more than just change. It is a potential collectible gem. While many coins of this date will remain common and moderate in value, the standout specimens will command serious attention and money. If you believe you have one of those, protect it, consider grading it, and hold on to the possibility that you might hold something quite special. If you enjoyed exploring the story of this coin, take a moment to check your coin rolls, drawers, or change jars. You never know when a single quarter could surprise you with collectible value.